What's going on, y'all? Straight to the point, sports and entertainment. Please hit that like button and also sub to the channel if you are not a member of the channel, and also hit those notifications as well. Okay, very important to hit those notifications too. Um, and please share the video too as well. I want to talk about the situation with Kawhi Leonard. Brown Sugar, I see you in here, sweetie. I want to talk about this situation with Kawhi Leonard um, as it pertains to former All Star and Portland Trailblazers player that was almost on the verge of a Hall of Fame career in Brandon Roy. The reason why I do want to talk about this is because I don't think a lot of people really understood the situation that went on with Brandon Roy, and it's quite simple. Brandon Roy had the same exact condition as Kawhi, and of course, he was he was forced to retire early. Played with the Portland Trailblazers, and then ended his career with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, Brandon Roy came in, okay, I think his first season, he played about 57 games, and then after that, he was on pace to pretty much play almost every game that he could, because the second season he played 74, then the third season he played like 78, then 54 games, and then just he couldn't hack it with the condition that he was playing. But the thing about it is that he tried to give it a go, and he cared about the game so much that he said that if he wasn't willing to give 100%, okay, and couldn't give it his all, then he was going to go ahead and just not cheat the game, and not sell the game short, and not cheat the fans. If that, no, and I don't have any sympathy for Kawhi, but as far as hold on one second, y'all. Okay, I don't have any sympathy for Kawhi, but I had sympathy for um, Brandon Roy. Okay, Brandon Roy, man, was that guy, man. He was on pace to be a Hall of Famer. Brandon Roy, even with him having the same condition in terms of him having the degenerative knees, he was on pace to be a Hall of Famer. Now, the thing about it is, the reason why, some people might be like, well, Stray, how come you, or Kawhi, stuff like that. Look, I've said it time and time again, okay? Kawhi, as far as his success rate goes, yes, he's been successful. One might go ahead and bring up the fact that he was more successful than Brandon Roy in his career, of course, with the accolades and stuff like that. And that was when he was healthy and stuff like that. But the thing about it is over the past several years, that the stuff that Kawhi has been doing has been kind of suspect, and I think that if his condition wasn't as bad as it was, and given that, because everybody's body is different, but I think that if Brandon Roy was in Kawhi's shoes, because Kawhi tends to play and then he doesn't play, stuff like that, I think that Brandon Roy would be a lot more successful. That's just my in my opinion, because Kawhi has been placed in many situations. I mean, he's had a team to where one might be able to say that he would have been able to have the advantage or whatnot. There was that situation, you know what I'm saying, when he went to uh, the conference finals or whatever, but unfortunately he wasn't able to play. And I just look at the situation and I say to myself, I'm like, I'm not gonna feel sorry for Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? And I know that makes a lot of people mad, but Brandon Roy, I do feel for Brandon Roy because he actually played, and even with his condition, he was able to play 78 games. And at that time it was more physical. You see from the thumbnail who he was playing against. He was playing up against guys like a prime Kobe. Kobe at his peak. You're talking about in the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Like during that time, man, you had to come with it, and we know that Kobe at that time was the best player in the league. Arguably, the best player in the league. Some people saw that. Playing up against guys like D Wade, playing with various guys that were in the league. You had Steve Nash during that time that was doing his thing. You had Tony Parker dealing with that West Coast. You know what I'm saying, and Western Conference and stuff. The Portland Trailblazers, and he made the Portland Trailblazers hot. You know what I'm saying, and Brandon Roy was that dude. In the short period of time that Brandon Roy was playing, he was a 3-time All-Star, well on pace to be a perennial All-Star. You know what I'm saying? And hell, I know this might sound crazy for me saying, and I know that his career was short-lived, but I often you gotta wonder what he would have done had he stayed longer. It's the same thing with the guy like Yao Ming. Yao Ming had got, unfortunately had to cut his career short. But as soon as it took, Yao Ming to get, a minute to get going, took him a minute to do his thing and stuff. But once he started doing his thing, Yao Ming was on pace to really take over. There was a lot of people, including myself, man, I was rooting for Yao Ming. When he first came in, though, started off a little slow. I never rooted against him. I wanted to see what that guy had in store because a lot of people were doubting Yao Ming. You know what I'm saying? You had people saying, "Oh, he's just gonna come in. He's tall for nothing. All this other stuff. He's too uncoordinated and stuff like that. He's never gonna adjust." And Yao Ming, I think after about 2 seasons, he was able to really adjust. He just couldn't stay healthy. But he worked his ass off. Brandon Roy worked his ass off. Now, listen, I'm not saying that Kawhi Leonard doesn't work his ass off. I mean, of course, you have to work your ass off in order to be and maintain yourself in this league. But what a lot of people have a problem with, and shout out to the brother Tiki. I think he was talking about this, man. How are you going to say that you need more talent on the team? No, Brandon Roy didn't make no excuses about needing this and needing that on the team and stuff like that. And they were playing, with the Blazers and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of factors that we have to take into consideration when, okay, people sit up there and they say, okay, yeah, you need more talent, or you need this, or you need that. No, you don't need any of that. I mean, you weren't complaining, as far as the Raptors. Nobody had expected you to do what you did with the Raptors. Nobody expected that. Let's just be real. Okay, when you came over from San Antonio, okay, yes, you were doing your thing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, defensive player of the year. You know what I'm saying? Coming off the finals MVP, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? that was great, but nobody expected you to go to the Raptors and then bring the only championship to the Raptors or whatnot. You understand what I mean? So, and then I don't blame Mark Cuban for saying what he said now. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Mark Cuban has said that Kawhi Leonard doesn't deserve a statue with the Raptors. And at one point, I would have said, "Nah, you tripping, Mark Cuban." But now looking back on it, no, he doesn't. He doesn't deserve a statue because then you go ahead and then you just left. Yes, it was great that you brought a title there, but you weren't the only one that was a part of that title either. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had other guys that actually had just as good of a finals as you did. When you talk about Pascal Siakam, when you talk about Kyle Lowry, when you talk about those other guys or whatnot, you had guys on there that had just as good of a finals as you did. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel sympathy for Kawhi Leonard. I don't. I felt more sympathy for Brandon Roy, even though that they had the same exact condition or whatever. Now, I also take into consideration Kawhi did break his foot. Excuse me. On the because of Zaza Pachulia. We all know what happened. That right there, that was really messed up. And I stood on business when it came to Kawhi with that situation because that was just a dirty ass play, and Zaza Pachulia was wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, doing dirty shit like that. I don't believe in tactics and then him coming down on his foot and stuff like that. Now that right there, I did stand on business with that. But that was, like I said, that was years ago. You bounced back since then. But a lot of people are wondering, okay, you're back now. Your your level of production is not the same. You still have a James Harden. I mean, even though James Harden, he still plays, he's still able to get his numbers and stuff like that. But he's not the James Harden that was in H-Town. Okay? He's not that James Harden anymore. He's still a productive player and everything, but it's not equating to wins. He can't lead anybody quite like he used to. And on top of that, you got to realize when he gets to the playoffs, that's always been James Harden's curse. He's never been able to capitalize. And one could argue, as of late, there's been a curse on Kawhi too as well. Brandon Roy, you saw early, like this guy, man, when he gets it going, there is really nothing that can stop this dude. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like Brandon Roy, in a short period of time, he would have been able to get a championship. I kind of feel like him and guys like Derrick Rose, even though that Derrick Rose, his injuries were quite different. Though, and Derrick Rose kept playing. Derrick Rose kept playing. See, that's another guy right there. Derrick Rose, he kept playing. You know what I'm saying? There were people that were doubting Derrick Rose, saying that he couldn't do it no more, just go ahead and retire. Derrick Rose refused to give up. Isaiah Thomas, okay? I'm talking about Celtics Isaiah Thomas. Okay, not Isaiah Lord Thomas III, my starting point guard of all time with the Pistons. I'm not talking about that one, okay? I'm talking about little Isaiah Thomas, you know what I'm saying, that played with the Celtics. There were people telling him the same thing, but Isaiah Thomas, he still wants to come back. Even though he had that situation that was going on with his hip and all that other stuff, he still wanted to come back. See, those guys have a drive and passion to be out there on the floor. But you have guys like, aside from Kawhi, when we talk about an Embiid that just wants to continue to sit, when we talk about a Paul George, and God knows what happened to his ankle, You know what I'm saying? I didn't even see, anything about him spraining his ankle or whatever. And I know some people are gonna be like, well, it could have happened in practice. It could have, but I'm just saying, you were fine the last game. Last game, you put up 8 points. And you scored like the first 8 points, like in a couple minutes and stuff. I'm like, man, you had me rooting for you and everything. Then you just gonna go ahead and you're gonna sit down that very next game. I just don't understand that. And then on top of that, you don't understand you're inconsistent. Brandon Roy wasn't inconsistent. Brandon Roy, when he got the opportunity to play, because I think he when he came in 06, 07, he only played 57 games. But it might have been because might have had an injury. I got to go back to that time and realize what had taken place or whatever. But he played 57 games. The very next season, played a stellar 74 games, and then the third season played 78 games, damn near 82 games, and then of course that's when it kind of went downhill. I think he ended up playing like 59 games, 59, 54 games, and then ended with Minnesota. But in a short period of time, you saw this guy was getting ready to possibly take over the league, man, and he could have did some of the stuff that Kawhi was doing. You know what I'm saying? Because he had that type of feel. And anybody that feels otherwise, man, look, we could go at it on it. Brandon Roy was that guy, man. And listen, I'm going to be real. I didn't appreciate him enough. When I first saw Brandon Roy, I'm going to be real with you. I was like, I didn't really get with his game all that much. I don't know. But as I continued to watch, I think it was like the first season. As I continued to watch him, I was like, yo, this guy can really, this dude could carry a team. You know what I'm saying? And then by that second season, everybody was all on Brandon Roy. You know what I'm saying? Quiet, took care of his business. You know what I'm saying? Hard worker. You understand? Knew how to run an offense. You know what I'm saying? Got his teammates involved, but he can also get his at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Going up against the hard hitters during that time. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, you see there with Kawhii. I mean, this guy was giving guys problems. Could play multiple positions. Of course, he could run the one. Didn't mind playing the two. Sometimes the undersized three, you know what I'm saying? Could play the three or whatever. Do whatever is necessary. Hard nose, you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy was a competitor, even with the condition that he had. And listen, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't making no excuses. And my thing is this, right? My thing is this. If you're not going to be good to the game, and this not only goes for Kawhi, okay? This goes for Joel Embiid. This goes for Zion. This goes for all these guys that want to sit there and do that roller coaster bullshit. If you're not good for the game or whatever, you're going to continue to do this stuff, just go ahead and do yourself a favor and go ahead and retire. I don't want to have this conversation with people talking about, oh yeah, who are you to tell anybody to retire? Who am I to tell anybody to retire? Okay. If I know that I cannot work anymore, and if I know that I can't do what is necessary to be consistent, okay, to be consistent at my job or whatever, I'm not gonna sit up here, okay? I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, oh yeah, well, you know what? I'm gonna work one day, then the next day I am gonna work. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, because to me, what it does, man, is it gives the company the impression that you're just here to give a lackluster. You know what I'm saying? You're here to give less than 100%. You're not here to really be an asset to any corporation or whatever, and go ahead and just start something on your own. Like, move on, because you're really making the NBA look bad. And look, the NBA is already looking kind of suspect with some of the things that's going on and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, do yourself a favor and stop making the product look so bad, because it doesn't look good. Clippers are 5-11 right now. You have everybody and their mama right now talking about the Clippers for bad reasons. And Steve Ballmer, you're not out of this either, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Pull Up Podcast and everything. I fuck with my homie BJ and stuff like that, but I really have to talk about this or whatever. Steve Ballmer is the worst, man. You know what I'm saying? He's the worst. Like, you need to be looking at a blueprint of what OKC is doing, what Sam Presti is doing. You know what I'm saying? Hell, what Trajan Langdon is doing over there in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Mark Walters took over there in LA. You know what I'm saying? Majority owner done came through cleaning house. Now it's working for the Lakers. You understand what I mean? Like, some of these teams are on the come up. Hell, look at the Raptors. These guys are flourishing. You know, and it ain't all on. It's not 100% all on Kawhi or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, a lot of these guys are at fault too. Y'all sat up there and y'all made moves that weren't even really calculated. Y'all made moves just off the rip. Oh, we just gonna get anybody. We just gonna go ahead and get a Bradley Beal who can't stay healthy, instead of having a guy like Norman Powell, okay, a little bit older, okay, 31, 32 years old. Oh, well, he still can hoop. In comparison to LeBron, he's 40. You know what I'm saying? But 32, shit, that's 9 more years. 32 is not old in today's game. It's not. It's not old at all. 35 ain't old. 35 is not old. Now, back in the days, it would have been old, but not now. Now, unless you an AD that's like, you know what I'm saying, 31, 32, and got a mile long of injuries, okay, then I understand that. But, man, we got to cut it out with these excuses. All these guys that's getting hurt, too, is young as hell. Shit, what's it called? Zion Williamson. He young as hell. I know he back and everything, but it's like roller coaster with him. You never know what the fuck you gonna get. But in the 80s, you knew what you was gonna get. You knew what you was gonna get with Larry Bird. You knew what you was gonna get with Mike. You knew what you was gonna get with Isaiah. You knew what you was gonna get with Brandon Roy. Even though that he's less than 100% with his knees, you knew what you was gonna get, and he never sold short of his effort. He never did that. He never did that, man. And that shows me that he cared more. And he's like, look, if I can't give it no more, that's fine. Derrick Rose, he tried. Even with all the people that were talking shit about him, even with all that stuff that people were saying, talking about, oh, it was over for him. He ain't what he used to be, all that other stuff. Derrick Rose, I give him credit. It's no wonder. Look, if I wouldn't even get mad if they put Derrick Rose in the Hall of Fame. Hell, I wouldn't get mad if they put Brandon Roy in the Hall of Fame. That's somebody who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, instead of somebody that's cheating the game and all this other stuff, trying to get money and everything. And I'm just being real, man. Like, I understand about Paul George. You know what I'm saying? Not very many people could have came back. But I mean, my goodness or whatever, man, like, make a decision. Either you gonna play or you not gonna play. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't be no back and forth. Listen, I know that this game is not easy. It's not by any means. It's not. Anybody that sit up there and say that football is easy, basketball is easy, you know what I'm saying? Swimming, track, Whatever the case is. Any of y'all that say it's easy, man, get up out of here and shoot yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because it is not. This is not game. But at the same time, you got to come to grips and you got to come to a decision. Can you give what you can give to the game anymore? Look, we on the verge of damn near being 500 when we started off red hot 5-0. We started off red hot. Red hot. Now we 9-8. Same place as the Bulls, losing to teams like the Magic, who's short-handed. Magic don't have their best player. We in a dog fight with a team that don't have their best player, like Giannis. Make it make sense. Do yourself a favor, man, and just say, I can't do it no more. The Clippers right now, I think what? Clippers 5-13 or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Do yourself a favor and do the organization a favor and say, I can't do this no more. What value are you bringing? I mean, what are you here for? Are you going to fight? Are you going to get out there and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to strap it up. I'm going to take it on the chin. I'm going to do everything that I can. Or is you just going to continue to sit down? We're going to turn around again. Oh, he got to sit down. Hell, you talk trash about LeBron James. LeBron actually out there playing. He actually out there playing. He playing within the system. He listen, I know y'all don't like him, but he's starting to prove everybody wrong. Now, will it last? I don't know. But some of these other guys need to be getting cooked. So that's my thing on it. Make sure y'all like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel if you're not a member. Also hit them notifications too. It's straight to the point. Sports and entertainment. Shouts out to the Horn Tide LBC. Basketball and boxing. Till then, I'm gone.